stock market desperately attempts to hold on to its 50-day moving average, the bear boys squeal in anticipation of a victory lap, which would see Bitcoin crash to new lows. However, are the blundering bears too early? One piece of evidence suggests yes. So sit down, grab a jar of jelly, smear it all over yourself, sprinkle some Dorito dust on yourself also, then get a shower, wash it all off, and then watch this video. Right now, Bitcoin continues its little bit of a dumpy down trend with exactly as we've been talking about the stock market's massive dumpulation continuing here. However, there's some very big things that I want to point your attention to about what is happening right now. And I want to start off by looking at the SPX. The stock market, yes, we have been dumping. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. We have seen a nice pullback. And in fact, we have spent a little bit of time already below 4,000, as we've been expecting, going all the way down to about 39.83 over just the last few hours. But in particular, obviously, if we draw the long-term trend line, you guys know that this back test of what would even put us back about exactly at 3,900, I think is very much coming. If not today, then sometime this week, very likely in my opinion. But more importantly, where does the support exist for the stock market? And it is, well, one massive pattern that I think I want to show you here as well. So if we look at the VPVR, we can see the point of control we have not revisited yet. And at this very second, it's actually about 39.60 with the SPX. And that's very interesting when you compare it to Bitcoin's as well, which we'll look at in a second. But as you can see, the then next biggest level of support is actually right around 38.45, where we recently bounced in the middle of December of 2022. And other than that, all the way down at about 3,700, a little bit below 3,700. But you can see there's massive areas of accumulated volume, which in theory would hold up as strong support should Bitcoin, should the stock market visit those levels. And remember, the point of control, the biggest one yet, is only about 50 points below where we currently sit. And I fully anticipate that we will be seeing a test of that support very soon. And in fact, for it to retest the year-long plus level of resistance, it would actually even need to go a little bit below that at this very second, considering it's a descending line, and every day, every week that goes by, this line gets lower because it's descending. So that's very big. The stock market obviously is in a very critical position, as well at this very second actually trying to hold on its 50-week moving average. So again, I think that's very interesting as we're kind of like literally battling that right now. It's 21 is actually all the way down at about 39.30. So I personally think that, is it likely that we could go over 3,900 or go below 3,900 during this dump? Absolutely. I think that's very, very possible, very likely here. But also I want to pivot your attention quickly to Bitcoin's chart, because if we look at its point of control, its very big levels of support, its point of control is all the way down here at about 16.8. Now, if you're expecting that Bitcoin could go below that level, honestly, there are some huge reasons why it's going to take so much dumpiness to get there. And the stock market dumping down to some of these key levels, every level on this chart, of the ones I just talked about, is not going to do it, most likely. Bitcoin has immense support below us. The very first one coming in at about 23,000, which we just recently flipped. It took months. It took basically about 8 months to concretely kind of get above this level once again. Remember, during the whole year of 2022, we were getting dumped on massively. And specifically the second half of 2022, we spent most of our time below 23,000. You can see we squeaked our head up a little bit right here back in August and the very end of July. And then, that was basically it. We were kind of below it the rest of the year. And up until just about a month ago, we were also below that level. So 23,000 is going to come in as support here. Not to mention, we also have 21,000, clearly also 20,000, and these are all supported as well by the VPVR levels. Massive level here around 19,000, and then the biggest as well around 16.8. So Bitcoin has support below us. So if you really want to short Bitcoin, or if you're looking to short Bitcoin, get a really good entry, and you really just want to see it dump below 10K, the support gets stronger and stronger the lower we go. In other words, it gets harder and harder to break below these levels the lower we go. Now, again, the only way that I believe this can happen is if the stock market completely collapses. And so that is absolutely worth noting. Now, again, we do have this temporary, in my opinion, double top that we've set so far here. Now, basically, we're one candle into this. So, I mean, there's no definitive confirmation that now all of a sudden we're going to get completely rejected and dump. It is way too early to suggest that. Keeping that in mind, breaking above 25,000 did not really happen concretely. So to be bullish in the short term also isn't a great option, because we need massive momentum to pick up basically on the stock market, in the stock market, for that to even have a possibility. But again, I mean, this is crazy. Again, we've been tracking this for about 6 months now, this gigantic falling wedge. A back test here, even, continued. This could last weeks and weeks, but a continued back test here is not out of the question. Again, I personally believe it's very likely we see Bitcoin go below 20K at some point during this pullback, which could, again, take a few weeks. So it's not something that'll happen by tomorrow, most likely. But this rejection right here, again, at the death cross, this again, we're getting kind of rejected here, but we have to keep in mind that we are still kind of right there. All it takes is like a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 pump, depending on what the price is on any given day, and we can shatter this and quickly trap the bears that were expecting us to go to 15, 16K again and blast up to 30. And a lot of people don't even see that as an option right now, but it's realistic. Now, is Bitcoin decoupling? That is an argument that I'm not going to be talking about really in this video, but it is something that I believe will happen. And when we see small evidence of it, I think it's very interesting, very good for the markets. Now, ultimately, I think the market will have to trend that way towards decoupling from the stock market, but we're absolutely not there yet. We're not really seeing much evidence of that. But again, ultimately, if we end up seeing evidence of that, and that's the way the market starts to shift, where over time, less and less of Bitcoin's price movement is dictated by the stock market, then I would urge you to get immensely bullish if you see that happening. More so than almost any other fundamental or technical thing that could show up. If we start to actually see real decoupling and demand not related to the stock market, hold on to your britches, hold on to your trousers, because things can get so big. Now, again, I'm not saying that because we're seeing crazy evidence of that, but what I'm saying is if we do see that, hold on, because that's when things get really exciting. Because things can get really exciting even before we see that, right? We've already seen the possibility of what Bitcoin can do while it's tied up with the stock market. Imagine what it can do when it's not. And for Bitcoin to fulfill its purpose, it needs to decouple at some point. But as well, I mean, looking at the SPX on the daily chart, right now we're bouncing right off of the 50-day moving average here. And again, as I said, I believe we're going to go down to even the 200. Really, imagine this scenario. Let's say that we bounce sooner than expected and actually break this high. Imagine how bullish things... all I'm trying to point out to you is there are a lot of scenarios right now in the midst of this pullback that things could get very bullish. I'm leaning on the side that the stock market is going to continue a little dumpiness here. But I mean, if we even look at Bitcoin on this multi-week chart, this pattern could not be more clear, and it's the exact pattern we saw at the bottom of the last bear market as we reversed to the upside. And you can see we're in the middle of one of these multi-week candles right now, marked by the number 3 on the chart. It is truly a very interesting, very strong bottom bust pattern here. Reversal pattern. The inverted reach around, it is ginormous. And you can see it's highlighted perfectly on this diagram, and as well comparing to the last bust out. Now, again, remember what happened during March of 2020 that caused this massive candle. Overall, if you really started laddering in, let's erase this little part and say, instead of massive cataclysm, we kind of just traded sideways or even trended up a little bit, then literally down at these levels was the best entry you could have gotten in that bear market to bull market. So, assuming that this is going to be anywhere as similar, then could we assume potentially that also will be the case this time? It's very possible. You cannot discount it. There's no guarantees, but again, the similarities here are quite astounding. Again, like you can see the dumpiness of this bear market and the previous ones are not exactly the same, but it's easy to discern that there obviously is some very interesting similarities between not only the dumpiness, but so far the sideways at the bottom, and then a very nice, very quick, unexpected pump where again, the sentiment, think back just a few months, the sentiment could not have been more bearish. Every pump was expected to immediately get busted down. People were saying we weren't going to see $20,000 again for another year or two, right? Absolutely delusional. They had absolutely zero, they believed 0% chance we would see 20K for potentially a year. And watch how quickly the momentum can change. That's really the point. And so far, again, I think a lot of people are still in disbelief. We have dumped about $1,500 so far from the highest we've been all year, just a couple of days ago. And already people are saying, see, I told you so. This is a massive bull trap. Now, that to me says one thing, that the people that are expecting Bitcoin to go very low are not very confident because it's way too early in this move to expect that, 20,000, 15,000, 10,000 is guaranteed again, right? It is still way too early. And it shows a desperation to prove a point that, see, look, we're going to keep going lower. We're going to keep going lower. Because this is exactly what we were hearing literally just a couple of months ago is, when we were at 16, 17,000, we got to 17,005. Look, this is just a massive trap. Watch, we're about to go to 14, 13, 12K. And same thing we saw here during this pullback here. And then we busted back up to new yearly highs. And again, are we potentially now seeing that same thing? If you just look at this chart of the last couple of months, it's very easy to see why. If you're already calling this as a massive dump, it is very, very premature. Very, very premature. Already, just on this chart, there are multiple examples of continued upside that is preceded by these dumps like this. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those ghost notification services, absolutely time-sensitive breaking news alerts. Take advantage of massive BITGET and BitGet deposit bonuses below. In addition, 0 trading fees when you sign up using my link below for spot trading, 0 trading fees for spot trading, and an additional massive deposit and welcome bonuses as well. Thank you from the gate. It's free.